So, hold on. I need to make some adjustments to my screen. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I'll give everyone a chance to get their Kleenex, get their tissue, and, deal with that. Oh, my camera's like all fucking wonky at the moment. I don't know what's going on. So let's talk about this. I think I can speak for all of us when I say the first time you watched the movie Avatar, it was devastating. And tears flow, you feel guilt. Fuck off, fly, seriously. You feel this intense guilt over being a human. You're just like, oh, I can't believe I'm part of this race that would do such a thing. It is a movie that puts you through this really emotional turmoil of not just the guilt, but of the shame and the sorrow. But I want to give you something that came to me, I guess I watched this movie about a year ago, and I've never seen this version. We just watched the extended version of Avatar, and it will be in the library in the next couple of days for UnFuckers to download. So if you want to watch it yourself, there's a lot of extra footage in the extended version that neatly fills in some of those storylines. And it's interesting the pieces that Hollywood cut out, a lot of the deeper pieces when it's talking about the connection to Awa and the connection between the people and the connection between the planet. So interesting what pieces they cut out for the Hollywood version. But I want to give you this piece that came to me. This piece that came to me when I watched it. Like I said, it was probably about a year ago. And all of a sudden, I realized that we weren't the corporate assholes. We weren't the military corporate assholes. And I thought to myself, what if the story of Pandora is actually the story of Earth, of the takeover of Earth? What if we, the humans, the original humans, were the Na'vi? We're so connected. They were so connected to the mother. I have got a fly who's literally haunting me at the moment. Stop it. Who is so connected to the mother, so connected to this integral neural network in which they were all connected, not just those in the now, but those in the past as well. That network between the planet, every living thing on the planet, connected not just the now, but the past as well. It carried all the history. It carried the memories of their ancestors, the memories of everything that had ever played out. And that deep interconnection between everyone and every living thing on the planet was their bloodline. And I mean bloodline, I mean not as in how we say bloodlines as in your people, but bloodline quite literally, the flow, their DNA, exactly, Linda. When you look at this movie, turn it around, and you turn it around and take it from the perspective of we are not the attackers. We as in humans are not the conquerors. We are the ones who were conquered. It takes on the entire movie, takes on a radically different feel to it. And there's some pieces in this that I really want to talk about, okay? One of the things I wanted to talk about is exactly, so like the ones who are coming in, the conquerors, the terrorists, let's call them what they who are coming in are coming from a place that is cold, where there is no love, where there is no empathy for your fellow man. And that's what I really liked about this version of the movie, is because in this version, it's a completely different opening scene where you actually get a feel for Jake Sully's, where he comes from, who he is, what he is living through. It's cold, it's harsh, there's no connection. He has no connection to anyone or anything on his planet. He's been used up. He's not high enough. He doesn't have enough money. He has not enough rank. He doesn't have enough of anything to warrant being fixed. Kind of sounds familiar. Does it sound familiar to everyone? Like how the military works now, right? You're a vet, you're worthless. But that planet, that place that he comes from, is cold, heartless, emotionless, disconnected in every way, shape. It's ugly. Then you have Pandora, that is beautiful, and it is wild, and it is dangerous. Dangerous as in it's more than capable of protecting itself. I so see Pandora as Earth, as a pristine Earth. Now I'm trying to look at my notes. Something. Okay, so this is the thing I wanted to talk about. Was I love the word they give in this movie for the mineral they are mining. So take away mining, just throw that out. Take away mineral, just throw that out. Unobtainium, something that can only be found on that planet. All we need to know is that it is something of immense value. Value the likes of which it can be found only there. And this value is such that it is worth killing over. It is worth, in that military people's, millions and billions of dollars. It's worth sending spaceships that they hypersleep for 6 years just to get there, and all the cost at any means possible to obtain this incredible, valuable thing. And then again, but what if it's not a mineral? We've all tossed these theories out and have been tossed around for years that the aliens come to Earth and they want the gold. How many stories have opened up with the aliens arriving on the planet to harvest something? And they usually put it in Hollywood terms of gold, because it gives us it's a specific valuable thing. We see gold as value. We can assign it a value. The aliens came to harness gold. Stargate, the opening scenes of Stargate movie, what are they there for? The opening scenes of even the X-Men Apocalypse. What's Apocalypse doing? He's harvesting. He's using the people. What if it's not gold? It's not unobtainium. What it is the essence, the energy, the actual biological, genetic DNA of the beings on that planet. And that's what they're there to harvest. That's why in the movie it's so important. Just so coincidentally that the biggest deposit of unobtainium is under the biggest tree where they all live. No, it's not there for a mineral. It's there for them. And in order to get them, They have to cut off their communication, cut off their network, destroy the network which is in existence there that keeps them all tied together, which is why they go after the life force. Exactly, the life force, the unity, the consciousness that binds them together, and then takes them and they separate them, pull down the tree. Next target, the tree of souls. Destroy the links that connect them to their neural network, of memories, and to the planet itself. Unobtainium, I think, is humans. I literally think that is what the unobtainium is. And again, we've seen this story. You look at other movies, things like, for example, Jupiter Ascending, that we watched months and months and months ago. What did they do? Humans were being harvested. The Matrix movie that we also just watched last month. The Matrix movies, harvesting humans. Each one has a different aspect to it. Each one has their own spin on why they harvest, what they're using. But the reality of it is they're harvesting humans. That is the most valuable thing that they want. I also love in this movie the animals. The animals, beings, however you want to call it. There are dragons. There's elemental spirits, the fairy. And they're all interconnected together. They each have their meaning, the bonding. I love how that's represented in this movie. And when they walk, that was one of the other things. Everything they touch when it's nighttime and you see them walking through across the tree, across the ground, doesn't matter. Everywhere their foot touches, the lights up like an energy exchange. And we've talked and we've hypothesized this several times, and Ben's talked about this several times, that in our modern world, we have no connection now through to the ground. The rubber-soled shoes that we wear, it like hides us, that we are no longer connecting. And Ben put through the hypothesis of maybe even the planet doesn't no longer knows that we're there because we don't touch. We're hidden through those rubber-soled shoes and through elevated buildings and concrete, that our energy is not touching and grounding and allowing the planet to know that we are there. We are here walking upon it. It's an interesting theory, and that one stuck with me ever since Ben brought that one up. It keeps sticking to me, and it keeps coming back. Considering how many of us have blown soles of our shoes out over the last 3 years especially. I mean, every time I get a new pair of shoes, it lasts literally, they blow the soles, right? And I'm not talking like, they rip or, I mean, literally have soles falling off my shoes, as if our energy is saying, fuck off, no, I need to be making connections. The other thing I found was interesting was the idea of the tree. Because the idea of the tree is one that plays very, very strongly throughout our mythology. The tree of life, the Garden of Eden, the tree of knowledge. You have in the Norse histories, you have the tree that separates all the realms, Midgard and etc. The idea of the tree. Rosanna, why do we call it a family tree? It is a continuous piece that we see appearing throughout our mythology, our history, over and over again, much like water, and how water plays this role. And all these stories that we talk about, how water. Thank you. Thank you, Britt. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the Norse name for the tree. Yggdrasil. I can't even remotely say that. So we'll just say, yes, I know exactly what you mean. Water, trees. It's a continuation that plays out. Now, the other thing I thought was kind of interesting, Anne, I wanted to pass this one over to you. What do you think on this? They have two links. The two things, the Navi, so they have the braid that comes out that contains a physical link that they can link to the trees, they can link to the animals, they can link to each other, to the ground. Where have we all had a headache recently? And that struck me while we were watching this day. That really struck me because I still have, and we're now on day 8. I still have a pressure headache.
Yeah.
Base of the skull.
Interesting.
It was just one of those little things. You and I kind of tossed around the idea the other day of like, okay, what's there? Yeah. The connection. Where's the connection? Why that one specific place right at the base of the skull there? How many people have neck problems and they're continuously like, oh, my neck, and the problems in the upper back, but it all tends to radiate from up in there.
And the long hair, Danny, that was the other thing that struck me, that the long hair.
The long hair. The synopsis. And I mean, I joked for years that my braids were my antenna, right? I mean, I think there's actually a couple of pictures of me floating out there from years ago where I put wires in them. My braids were like sticking all out of my head. I don't know where that photo's gone. The natives, First Nations people, the Navajo and the Cherokee in particular, I know of people who are both, who talked about when they cut their hair and when they were forced to cut their hair, like in the residential schools, the first thing they did was shave their heads to disconnect them from their networks. The other thing I wanted to bring forward on this one, and this really struck me, this is the first time I've actually really had that hit me. If you look at the Navi, they're all not all love and light. They're not about sitting there meditating, oming to their belly buttons, trying to manifest something into reality. They're about the action. They're fully connected. They're fully connected to everything and every being on and in the planet. And yet they're people of action. They have no fear. They are brave. They're warriors, more than willing to defend themselves, their land, their people, with intense courage. Exactly. That's one of those things that's really, really missing from the whole New Age stuff that has just never, ever resonated with me. With this whole sit back on your ass and, only think good thoughts and only pay energy to the good things and take no action, basically. Take no action. That's not what this is about. And in the movie with Tariq Mokhtar, what does he do? Good night, John. What does he do? He unites the clans. He unites the clans. Doesn't matter where they are, whether they're on the plains, by the sea, in the mountains. Doesn't matter who's leading them. It doesn't matter what. He unites the clans. Now, it's funny because Maury brought up the fact during the chat there that our First Nations clans, our Aborigines, are not united. They are extremely divided, and they have been kept. Okay, seriously? Go away, fly. They have been kept seriously divided to this day. They've been infiltrated, indoctrinated, Christianized. Divine separation, divide and separation, divide, divide, divide. Colonized, yeah, exactly. If you think of this movie in those terms, it has a radically different meaning. Radically different meaning. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think on this? I really enjoyed this version of the movie. I really enjoyed this version of the movie because, like I said, it added all kinds of pieces in. Pieces that actually made the movie much more flowing and explained a lot of pieces, a lot of the subtleties, which is, of course, why Hollywood probably acts today. Deb, interesting. Insects colonize. I wonder if they're insectoid in nature. Okay, that's interesting too, because do you know, if you watch alien movies, if you're a big alien movie fan, like I am, what's one of the continuously reoccurring themes in alien movies is that they are very insect-like. Very, very insect-like. Is this the first time you've seen the movie, Deb?
Yes, it is my first time, so this was really great, especially having the full version. I did miss a little bit at the beginning because I was doing some stuff, but I will rewatch it. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, we'll have it in the library in the next couple of days. For sure. And if John can't get it, I'll make sure I grab a copy and upload it as soon as I can. Oh, flies. But this is my thing, Jules. You just said in Men in Black, humans are classified like cockroaches. In the Matrix, they try to make the illusion of it's a disease type thing. But like I said, sometimes we've got to look on the flip side of that, of what's being said and by who. Yes, exactly.
Hey, Danny, I got something to offer on this general storyline of the movie itself. It's a personal anecdote, and I haven't told it in a long time. I don't really do that much anymore. But back in 2010, about maybe 4 or 5 months before Judy passed, I got a copy of this. I bought it at this store. It came out full version, and she had me. Well, she did some other things that are similar or related to it. But every weekend she had us sit down and watch this movie. And I got to tell you, on that last day, which I know I've told it to you before, and I don't want to go through all the details of that. But for the ones that don't know, I spent 12 hours with my wife on her dying day, and we talked a lot as she passed. And that allusion to Avatar was big in her conversation for quite a while. And I got it personally, somehow or other, that struck a very strong, powerful chord with her as true. And she made sure that I didn't, here I am 8 years later, and it's still in my awareness, and I'm sharing it. So you can do with that as you see fit.
Yep.
But I did want to share that again, and that's about it on that one.
Thank you, Maury. It's a powerful movie. It is an incredibly powerful movie. Now, I heard about 8 months ago, it came out that they're making a sequel to it. And now apparently they're in the middle. There's going to be 4 sequels. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where they take the storyline to, and if it gets watered down or turned around, if you know what I mean. We saw that with the original Matrix movie and the following movies that came afterwards. There was a lot of different changes that were put into it. Oh, I haven't seen the trailer yet. So there's a trailer on YouTube. I will find that trailer and I will post a link to the trailer for the. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know when it's supposed to come out. I have no idea when the sequel to Avatar is supposed to be coming out. So I'll have to look into that, see if we can find the information.
I'm hoping they somehow reveal some more and more of an expose that only anyone who has the awareness to notice that they're giving notice is going to notice type of thing. So that's the way I see it. If it turns in, if they do that some more, it's like I hope others start to get it, because I know there's a lot of emptiness out there, so that won't matter, I guess. But I'm just going to wait and see.
They'll either get it or they won't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even the movie as it stands, it's like the same thing. People watch the movie The Matrix and they see it only as a great science fiction kind of fantasy movie. They don't see it. It's just purely entertainment.
When did this come out, Danny, originally? When was it, or maybe starting?
Does anyone know what year Avatar came out? I'm going to say 2009, 2008, 2007, somewhere.
Fred said it was 2007. Jules just said
2009. Is that it? 2009. Interesting. I got that right on the first guess.
The reason I ask is that's 9 years ago, and there's a whole new audience that hadn't seen it. That was a different world. Even that short, as we measure time in our lives, it may seem like yesterday, but in terms of the rest of the people floating around, there's a lot of people now that are of age that never saw it or heard of it.
Yep.
So maybe that's the reason, despite what the marketers think they're doing, it's going on.
Is even to wait a little bit of length of time so you can reintroduce the movie to the next generation.
Just about something like that. That's something we lose track of. We think everybody else has got the same understandings that we do, and it doesn't take long if you start interacting with people much younger than yourself. They don't have a clue of anything of your life experiences, even to a short duration back. I found that myself. And to them, like somebody that's 18 years old, 2009, they don't even remember. Literally. They were kids.
Yep.
Go further back in time, it gets scarier and scarier. And you go back 30 years and Jesus, they look at you like you're freaking. You're still talking about history in your own life that, Jesus, you had way more knowledge before that, or experience. I run into that all the time. Case in point, I remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, not as a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old hearing about it secondhand. I was in college when that happened. Yeah. That's even before Kennedy got killed, and there's a whole 20 years before that of life experience.
Yeah.
And I try to start to talk about that, and it's like I might as well be talking about ancient history to them, and they're not interested. It has no value in today's world, it seems like, or very little.
It's funny because, oh my God, I always loved sitting with people and talking to them about their experiences. People who were older than me, people who went through things. And um, here in Malta, like if you can sit and talk to the older people, and they'll tell you about World War II. And here in Malta, World War II got seriously fucked up. But they tell you the story of their lives and the story of how they lived. And I love that. And I've never understood why people don't want to talk to the older generations, because they've got great amounts of knowledge and what they've been through. And I talked to my grandma all the time. I loved when she would tell us stories about growing up in England and all her adventures that she went through and what life was like back then. My grandma was born in 1908. So she had some pretty incredible stories to tell.
On that subject, I was interested too. The oldest one I knew was my grandfather. He was born in 1880.
Wow.
And I sat down and listened to him tell me about what it was like when of course, he was talking about the early 1900s. They were married in 1902. Well, that's before cars. For the common man, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And those kinds of stories I was interested in, but I don't see that much happen. It could be just a phenomenon of the United States, okay? In the cities even. I can't speak to the country folk because I'm not out there. But I know in the cities, very little of that goes on. It just doesn't anymore. And it used to be the case. Even when I was growing up, families would sit down and the grandparents would be there in a place of honor. That's all that traditional stuff from the old world was still coming into America, even in the 40s and early 50s. But my big thing is the world changed in the 60s. It literally did. I made mention today on Facebook to somebody somewhere that the Cuban Missile Crisis was a big wake-up call. That was 62. That's already a long-ass time ago. In 63, when Kennedy got killed, it was a blow to the heart of America. And followed shortly after that, the Beatles showed up. I mean, months later, they were on Ed Sullivan. Of course, I got a personal aspect to it. I joined the Air Force and was gone and sent to fucking Alaska. I might as well have been on the moon as far as the rest of the world was concerned up there. But 4 years later, I came back to Detroit. The city had burnt the previous summer. They had tanks on the street to quell the violence. That's how much it changed. And then the late 60s, you guys all know what with the music and rock and roll and the hippie movement. None of that stuff existed up until 62, 63, 64. And prior to that was pretty much the old ways. After that, it's just been a steady move away from that to where we are now. And you know, a lot of your remember the 80s in your teenage and early adult life years. That was so different already that it was just, to people like me and in my generation, it was just already gone. And then you got the 90s and then 2001, you know, with 9/11 and all this shit that's gone on for the last 18 years. It's unbelievable.
18.
But the world is so different. 17, you know, one day.
No. You just said that. It's like, holy crap. It's been that long since 9/11. Like,
and that means that anybody that's younger than 17 wasn't even born, and there's a lot of them. And you go up to another 5 years, they didn't know. They were just 5-year-olds. They might have heard about it in, you know, school or something. But as far as an experience in their life, no, that's early adulthood already. You want to feel old? Welcome to my world.
I'll never complain, Maury. I'll never complain again about being old.
I was just thinking back real quick to what you were just talking about when Avatar first came out, because I remember like when I was still friends with a certain girl and I was still hanging out with her. So I remember, after Avatar, sometime after it came out on DVD, we ended up watching it at someone's house. The first time I watched it, I got so emotionally involved, it was ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, I had tears going down my eyes. I was pissed. Yeah.
Well, like I said, the movie is designed to emotionally engage you. I just don't know if anyone, no matter how cold they are as a person, can watch that movie and not be moved by it in one way or another, however that emotion shows up and plays out for them. Yeah, multi-layered, exactly, Teresa, exactly. No, Anne and I had a conversation a little just recently, talking about the breakdown of the family, the breakdown of the nuclear family, and that's what you're talking about, Maury. Is grandparents are no longer revered. They're no longer looked after. They're no longer given the respect. It makes me. I can't fathom the amount of old people that I've met.
It's mostly in
Their
the
80s, in a nursing home by themselves, no family around, no one looking after them. Just I can't fathom that.
yeah. Well, that mostly occurs, I think, in metropolitan areas more so than I give you the country folk credit for being slower in that push forward, because they're more tied to the land and more tied to traditions than they are in the cities. They just do not do that.
Did you hear what you just said?
What?
Tied to the land.
Well, I did say that. I said it on purpose.
Exactly. I know. Tied to the land. It goes right back to the movie we're just watching. Those that are tied to the land show that much more
reverence. Actually, it's reverence
and respect as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you have more respect to living, more respect to life in general, even if you don't comprehend it. And that's obviously not a blanket statement that goes across the board. God knows we've seen Monsanto farmers who have no reverence, respect, or anything else, but they're also not tied to the land.
And you notice something that you and Anne especially, and Fred as well, that have spoken quite openly with about, even though you're city dwellers, all of you got this urge that you want to get out of this rat race and back to the land, so to speak, open space. And you're not the only three in this damn room that are out have that feeling. And that's going on as well. We're being drawn
back to the land.
Yeah, we're not going to be farmers. We don't even know how, but we know that there's a desire that where we're at is not right, and part of the answer is getting more grounded, more back to the land. We've heard that talk, but it's true.
And it's very true. I mean, and this is it. And like you say, it's not necessarily about wanting to go back and be a farmer or anything else, but it's the things like being in a place where you can reconnect, whether it's climb a tree, sit on a seashore or the riverbank, or to pick some flowers, to just enjoy and smell and experience all of it. And I think that's one of the big draws that all of us feel. I mean, God knows we've had this conversation for fucking years now in UnFuckers. Yep. Maury, I'm just going to mute you because you got thunder fingers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I'll mute. Sorry.
I know. It's okay. My keyboard makes rather loud tickly tick 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 noises too. And communities. And I wanted to get back to that too, because there's this draw out again. And it's funny. I've talked about community. We've all talked about community for years now. This wanting to come together, to build community, to work together within communities. And I've talked about reaching out within our own communities where we already are to try and connect. And that was one of the things in this movie that I found was really important too, is the fact that That was the call out to bring the clans together. And right now, more than any other time, it feels like it is so vital that people start coming together. And yet fuck off, seriously, right in the eye that time. What we're seeing through the alt media, through all these cult of personalities, shall we say, etc., is the massive division. And it's like it's imploding from inside. Even communities that were in existence online are imploding from within. And yet, instead of reaching out, it's like this drawing in where people are becoming very insular. People no longer trust anyone. They no longer are willing to, or they're holding on to a belief structure so tightly that they cannot accept anything outside of that boundary. And this is, I keep coming back to it, it is so vital right now that we start reaching out to other communities, reaching out to other groups, reaching out, bringing people together. And we don't have to believe the same thing. We don't have to all, because none of us in here fucking all believe the exact same thing. We all have our own inner knowing. But it's time to reach out. We really, really, really now need to start reaching out and really try to stop, put aside this divisionary stuff that's going on and try and work through it. And I'm seeing it. I keep calling out all these various things. And like one of the big ones right now, especially in the States, is this whole left and right, Republican, Democrat, this QAnon stuff. It is so not just divisionary, but incendiary. It is just explosive, and it is drawing people to these extreme sides. And I can't talk to you because you're a leftist, or you're on the right, or you're, pick a divisionary, and it's insane. And that's not just the States. I mean, we're seeing that all over the world. We're seeing it. These divisionary lines are being just pounded into communities, into countries, to try and force people apart. And every time I see it, I just can't help but think everyone who falls for it is falling for it. And we have got to stop this. We have got to get people to be able to figure it out and move past all these.
I got a weird thought for you.
Yes, Teresa.
Danny. Hey, I hope this comes out right, because it's still fucking my mind here on what you're talking about. If you consider, okay, just reality in general, like what is truth? Isn't it fucking everything? Or why would anything possibly exist? Probable, possible, imagination, what the fuck ever. Because it's all fucking real. And so the division thing, I honestly feel in the depths of my heart, it comes from fear, from thinking you have to know the truth. But the truth is freaking everywhere. It's really not about that. To me, it feels like that's where all this division comes from. Is, oh, I know the truth, or you know the truth, or who knows the truth? Well, it's fucking all true, and that's all I'm going to say. But this blew my mind today. I watched this thing about it, and it was like a mind fuck. I posted it on my Facebook, and I actually just sent it to Fred. But when this guy was talking about this stuff, I was like just mind fucked over it, because every single solitary thing that's in existence, imagination, knowing, or whatever, it's real, period. You know, why be divided over any of it? You know, anyway, I don't know what I'm saying, but I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, well, the reality of it is we keep saying over and over, no one knows. No one has the answers. No one does. I don't give a rat's ass who they are, et cetera, et cetera.
especially alone.
No one has an answer. So
especially alone. So how the fuck can we figure any of this shit out without one another? It's absolutely impossible.
yep.
Just the spirit of that alone should help everyone to stop the friggin' fighting. You know, I mean, I'm so sick of all of it. I'm about to barf. Seeing this everywhere, it's like, like you just said, it's like, oh my God, don't you realize what you're doing? I mean, it's just, you know, like you said, left, right, up, down, Q, all this bullshit. Well, just sit back and shut the fuck up. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I feel. Listen for a while, you know, just really open your eyes and take a moment. I don't give a shit if it makes you look stupid or like you don't know nothing. It doesn't fucking matter. The more you just watch, the more you're able to absorb some of this crap out. Sorry, I just had to say that.
No, I agree. No, I agree. I agree. And if everyone could literally just drop the belief structures and the political, religious, fucking all the programming, just enough to be able to accept the fact that no one has the answers and that we're all in this together, regardless of what we believe, we're all in this together. So just drop all the shit and let's come together and start working through it.
You know, the truth feels like when you watch movies like Avatar, what is it that really makes the person cry the deepest? I have asked myself this a couple of times, and if you really look at yourself and think about it, the deepest, most ugliest cries that we can just conjure up within ourselves is about love and unity and beauty and kindness and compassion. This is what we all long for. So if we could just do like what you said, throw the shit out the window and just allow that without fear, so much more can get accomplished. I just want to mention that.
Yep. No, Teresa, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, and Fred, exactly. The topics of division thrown right now become obsessive for those who fall for them. And that's what we've seen. We're seeing obsessive, extremist. And it, like I say, it doesn't matter what the belief is. I mean, I've seen everything from just people arguing over history and becoming obsessive extremist over something that has happened. Well, there's no balance point. And if people allow themselves to jump on the pendulum swing to the extremes of one to the other, regardless of what the topic is.
And that what seems happening right now, which is probably why it seems so divisionary. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, it's
just like you just said, the overcorrect. Any better? The overcorrecting pendulum thing, you know, when things are trying to get sorted out and things are trying to come into balance, whether it be, you know, politics or whatever the fuck it is, it can appear a certain way while it's trying to come back to the 0 point balance. And this is where I think the polarization and the division becomes even more rampant, is because they're not understanding that, you know, just sit back and allow it to balance back out. I mean, you know, what the hell good does it do to argue about it? Just watch it. I think it is trying to come to some kind of a balance. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels that way to me anyway.
No, and I agree. And this is, we see the extremist. And it's like you said, though, when the pendulum is moved, pick a topic, when the pendulum is moved all the way over here, this piece of programming piles in that makes it that, okay, if this is where it is, then the opposite must be correct, which is the other extreme side of the pendulum. And it's that's so wrong, because again, it's this whole balance, finding the balance in between where it all sits equally. When we talk about things like, like the feminist movement, that, okay, so there was this masculine, as they want to call it, I fucking hate these divisionary words, but the patriarchal, like this, and so women's rights have come, but now we've gone to this extremist thing where now, if God forbid you're a white man, you're just a piece of garbage now, according to all these feminist extremists. And they're pushing that agenda fucking hard. And I'm sorry, if people can't see that it's extremist and it's the equal of this is the equal to this, because they're both fucking wrong. I don't know.
It almost feels like natural, though. Like, I know from my own experience that when I was trying to get out of the people pleaser mentality, or heal from it or whatever, I kind of like locked myself away and was like, don't fucking ask me for another. I went to the opposite extreme for a while.
Yeah.
In order to come to that neutral point. I mean, it almost feels like a natural rhythm that's just going to happen. So if you can see it playing out.
Yeah, but
just,
it depends on the timing. Like, the whole thing is like you've said, though, when we do go through it. So, for example, a lot of us when we started waking up, we went through the anger, the Alex Jones phase, as I always call it, right? Where it's all anger, rage, rant, okay? And we all went there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you balance out. The problem is right now the push is to create these opposites and hold people there. And not only that, but like not only create them, but then let's like make it really extreme. Let's make the two polar opposites as opposite as you can possibly make them in the most ridiculous way. And then program everyone to try and fall for it. And that's the danger. I get that there's always this, you get this way. It's nature. Like you said, it's an emotional thing. You go through anger, you go through sadness.
It comes down to each individual's responsibility to not allow the agenda to fall for it, because if we don't fall for it and we don't become polarized, then they're not winning. And that's the bottom line, really.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. But trying to get people to recognize these extreme viewpoints, these divisionary tactics, that's sometimes the most difficult thing. And we see it in UnFuckers. We see it within our own group. There are people who have got dearly held belief structures. They're off to one side or the other, or up or down, or however you want to make an example of that. And everyone's got to come to it their own way. I mean, I get it. We all have to come to it our own way and see through this stuff.
That's very true, Danny. Very true.
That's a tough journey.
That's where the compassion piece comes in for me, and trying to hold space for all that. And just, I know the word faith is really loaded, but I'll never let it go because I do have faith in.
How about trust, Teresa?
Trust.
Try trust instead of faith, and it works just about as well.
Yes.
Well, when I say the word faith, that's what it means. Not only trusting within, but I have faith in others will begin to trust themselves. It's like, it's not religious faith. It's just like a knowing, more like a knowing.
I get you. I hear you. Well, my darlings, that was my last sip of coffee. I'm out. I'm about to take my last sip of water too. I don't know what movie we're going to watch next Sunday. It's going to be hard to top these last couple that we've watched. But I will try and remember. Someone remind me to put the poll up tomorrow. Or we can even go back to the, no, I'll have to take Avatar. I'll have to redo the poll again anyway. So anyways, remind me. The UnFuckers Library is up and running. I'm really, really happy. There is well over 1,000 books in the reading room. Well over 1,000 books. And then I've been slowly piling in my documents and my files and all kinds of interesting frickin' stuff. We've now got the video library has been started. So as I was saying to you guys before we went live, the first 4 seasons of Fringe are the first things that got put in the video library. I'll have season 5 up by tomorrow morning, because as soon as I hang out with you guys, I'll start uploading again. And Ann and I were joking that maybe even we'll start maybe watching Fringe, maybe a couple episodes during the week. I don't know, like if anyone's around and they're like, hey, does anyone want to watch Fringe with me?
Yeah.
Charlotte and Gina sent me home with the DVDs of the first 3 seasons, and they said, you have to watch it.
You haven't seen it? Oh, we got a lot of you in here. Ann hasn't seen it either.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start up like it'll just become more like a impromptu, maybe a couple nights a week, start watching Fringe together. And I can broadcast that from my own computer.
Yeah, because I still haven't watched Fringe. I haven't even got past, like, I found it once, like, a while back, and I still, I'm the slacker.
Okay, so Teresa hasn't, Ann hasn't. Fred, you haven't seen Fringe?
Well, Charlotte and Gina was like on, I don't know what the hell season, but it was way past the 3rd or 4th, and I was watching a couple with them, and I was like sitting there with my mouth hung open. That's why they sent me home with the first ones, because I've never seen it. Pretty mind-blowing.
So we're going to start with Fringe, and then I'm going to upload, the next thing I'll upload after Fringe is American Gods, just because poor David's been trying to upload them 1 episode at a time for the UnFuckers to watch, and so I'm going to get it into the library so that everyone can catch up and finish watching that. I have a rather vast selection of movies and TV shows, like 3 terabytes of movies and TV shows. So if you guys have something that everyone wants to get up there, like we could start throwing them out at me, like in UnFuckers. I think I've got a little topic on the library going, so put suggestions, like if there's another, on the idea of Fringe, if there's another really great TV series that because I forget what I've got. Like I literally, half the time I'll start downloading something and then go to my drive and go, I actually already have that on my drives. Damn. So yeah, if you've got ideas, I am slowly going to start rebuilding the UnFuckers movie library, because we ran out of space. I had to buy a pro account for the cloud. So that was like $100 for 1 year to get the pro account, and that's only gives us 1 terabyte. So we may have to do things like swap out stuff. So like say we'll have Fringe up for 6 months, and then we'll pull Fringe down and put other stuff up, because that's like, I don't know how many gigs that is. Fringe is, I think my copy of the 5 seasons of Fringe, even compacted, is about 18, 20 gigs. So, which is why it's taking me so long to get it uploaded. I will get the UnFuckers movie, so all the previous movies that we've all watched together, I will get those uploaded slowly. I'll start getting those uploaded into the UnFuckers library again, so that you guys can go in and grab them out as you want to watch those, especially the ones you want to rewatch. So like I've got Dune from last week, that the extended edition that I watched that was really good is in the library already. It's under the Dune folder in the, oh shit, I'm gonna have to move that. It's in the reading library under Dune, under Frank Herbert. So yeah, so the library's up and running. We're going to be filling it. If people have stuff that they want to put into the library, contact me and we'll see if we can figure out a way to work that out. Yeah.
I've got to check out Fringe now that you've got it on the,
Is that, you can start right now, man. You could start right now, Star. You can watch episode 1.
I have no excuse not to be able to. That's what was. I mean, that's if I had Netflix like way back, I could have been watching it then. But yeah, but now that it's up, thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Deb, yeah, you should be able to upload recipes again. I know we had to stop for a little while there, but yeah, you can absolutely start uploading more recipes because we have the Unfuckers cooking area, and Deb has been fucking awesome. She's put all sorts of awesome things. So I've got things like how to make bone broth, proper bone broth. I've got my dog food recipes are in there. My granola bar recipes are in there, which is what I've survived this movie on tonight, was granola bars. So yeah, the recipe section is in there. The other thing that a lot of people may not realize, there's also a classified section in the Unfuckers area. So that if people want to buy and sell stuff and want to advertise their businesses, they want to, things like that, it's there. The classifieds are there. You just have to use it. I've had to dust it off because no one's touching it lately. That was just the tip of your recipes. Deb's going to like fill in the Unfuckers cookbook all by herself. It's guaranteed. I've been really, really lax. Regularly I get cooking and I've got no one around. I don't have a phone that takes photos, so I never think to take a picture, and then so I will have to get a phone that takes photos, and or get Quinlan to start taking some photos for me, something, so I can get some of those recipes.
Your phone doesn't even take messages. Shut up.
I found my phone today though. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you find my message from 3 days ago?
No, I didn't check. I lost my phone for like, I don't know, a week and a half, and it finally beeped at me that the battery was dying. I was like, oh wait, follow the sound of the beep. I found it. And then I had to go plug it in, and I've just ignored it since then, so I haven't checked. I'll check my messages, Bree, I promise. Tee-hee-hee. So yeah, lots of good stuff going on in the Unfuckers group. Lots and lots of good stuff going on in the Unfuckers group. Lots of stuff for everyone to share some knowledge. And in other news is Gaia's Garden. The C60 hemp seed oil is finished tomorrow. So I will be going through the whole, got to filter it and get it bottled, etc. But those of you who've ordered your hemp seed oil, it will be going out next week. And we also have regular hemp seed oil too, for if anyone wants to order that. And it's really, really good quality hemp seed oil. I'm going to be making some hemp seed mayonnaise tomorrow because I think I'm going to make a big bunch of salad dressing. So hemp seed oil mayonnaise tomorrow, I think, is what I'll be doing. Maybe I'll even try and get pictures and put that in the damn recipe room. Deb, I'll try. Because I know you keep bugging me for the mayonnaise recipe, and I keep forgetting to put it in there. Sorry. No, Deb, it's put aside. It's put aside. So that's about it. So yeah. Oh, and yeah, the other thing with Guy's Garden is I have ordered the jars. So the new Reset C60 cream is going to be coming out by the end of the month. Jars have to be shipped here, and it's going to take a while. But by the end of the month, the new Reset C60 cream will be ready.
That word reset, when you said that, maybe that just word
Reset.
just maybe just tied in with what I was just thinking about. Yeah, like making how everything, even on an individual level, and it like spreads collectively, I guess, is like making things harder than it have to be. And mention and hit that made me think of that, but I was just thinking of a moment ago.
Andrea, thank you. That's awesome. I love trees. So I'm going to have to let you guys go, though, because I'm out of coffee. I'm just about out of water. And
then you still seem charged up somewhat. That's what gets me.
I am really, but I need to go sit quietly and try, because it is now 1:15 in the morning, and I do have to get myself
to come down.
I'm going to go have a bath or something, I think, right now, and then try and
kind of come down and kind of, yeah.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed the movie. I'm really excited. I will try and have it up in the library within the next day or two. And then you guys can watch it in better quality, because I know when we watch it together, it's not the greatest quality. Especially for visual movies like the Avatar movie is a really visual movie. And these flies are killing me, so I'm going to have to go hide in my mosquito netting. I'll talk to you guys. Oh, wait. Star, guess what? I'm making you host.
Anybody want to hang out for a bit? I am. I'm kind of going with the flow at the moment.
Okay. Good night, guys.
Night, D. Night. Love yous.